Hey everyone, and welcome back to NerdVana Nexus. It's your boy Ren, and before we even dive into today's massive topic, I just gotta say a huge thank you. As I'm recording this, we're at 278 subscribers, closing in on 300. Seriously, the support you guys shown on my first video and first few shorts has been nothing short of incredible, and I'm so pumped to keep bringing you guys these nerdy deep dives. You guys are amazing. And speaking of rocking, today we're tackling a big one. A debate as old as time, as old as red and blue, the ultimate Pokemon type tier list. That's right, all 18 official Pokemon types going head to head as I rank them from what I objectively believe is the weakest all the way up to the strongest, the S tiers. Now, to keep me honest and so you know where I'm coming from, my rankings are based on a few key criteria. Number 1, the offensive firepower. How hard does this type hit and what does it struggle against? Number 2, defensive resilience. Can it take a punch? What are its key weaknesses and key resistances? Number 3, key Pokemon and overall impact. Does the type boast a roster of iconic and competitively viable Pokemon? And lastly, number 4, versatility and its unique traits. Does it have any special immunities, game-changing strategies, the likes. So, with that out of the way, it's time to make some tough calls, inevitably upset some of you guys, and then make others of you guys proud. Let's load up this tier list and get to the ranking.
F is for friends who do stuff together.
Alright folks, kicking things off at the very bottom of the food chain. I know. Some of you bug catchers out there are going to come for me in the comments, but it has to be said. For F tier, I put the bug type down there. Yes, in F tier. Now let me explain before you grab your B drills. So why F tier? Why do I gotta do bug dirty like that? Well look, offensively, it's not all bad. Bug type stab will smack grass, psychic, and dark type for super effective damage. Hitting those sneaky dark and psychic types, that's genuinely useful, I'll give it that. But, and this is the big but, the list of things that just laugh off bug type attacks is huge. We're talking fighting, flying, poison, ghost, steel, and fairy. 7 types resist bug. 7. Trying to sweep with a bug type move is like trying to punch your way through 7 different brick walls, one after another. It's pretty rough, man. Okay. In bug's defense, it does have some good defenses. It resists fighting, grass, and ground. Those are all solid common types to resist, especially fighting and ground. No complaints there. But then you flip the coin. No immunities. 0. Zilch. Nada. And its weakness, flying, rock, and fire. All 3 of those are super common offensive types that you see on like every other team. So while it resists some good stuff, it absolutely gets demolished by other very prevalent threats. Now hold on, before the bug elites come at me, I know there are some absolute monsters that are bug types. We're talking Scizor with that Technician Bullet Punch, Volcarona with Quiver Dance setting up to sweep your entire existence, Heracross hitting like a freight train, and don't even get me started on megas like Heracross, Pinsir, and Scizor. Plus, bug types got some of the best utility moves in the game, hands down. Sticky Web for speed control, U-turn for pivoting out like a ninja, S tier moves, no doubt. We can't forget our favorite bug type legendary too, Genesect. But here's the kicker. A lot of those amazing bug type Pokemon are great in spite of their bug typing, or because they have an amazing secondary typing. Hello, Steel on Scizor and Fortress after all, or maybe they have a busted ability. As a standalone type, when you look at its offensive matchup and those cripplingly common weaknesses, it just struggles so hard to break through common defensive cores and stay on the field. So with a heavy heart for all the cool bug designs out there, bug type, you're holding down the fort in F tier for NerdVana Nexus. It's tough love though. Alright, next up on the chopping block, or maybe the melting block. We're moving into D tier, and holding down the fort at the very bottom of D, it's gotta be the Ice type. Ice type, man, this one is such a heartbreaker for me, because on paper, its offensive potential is absolutely god tier. No joke. Look at what it smacks super effectively. Dragon, a full type of monsters. Ground, always a threat. Grass, gotta keep him in check. And flying, clipping the wings of those speedy birds. This is some premium offensive coverage right there. You see Ice Beam and Blizzard on so many non-ice types for a reason. It just hits what it needs to hit. You look at its defensive stats, and it all just crumbles like a poorly made snowman. Defensively, Ice resists Ice. That's it. One resistance, and it's to itself. No immunities to bail it out. And its weaknesses, oh boy, Fire, Fighting, Rock, and Steel. 4 incredibly common and powerful offensive types that will just shred through most ice type Pokemon. Like they're made of, well, ice. It's such a tragic tale. You got these amazing ice type attackers. Weavile, a speedy menace. Mamoswine, hits like an icebreaker ship with Icicle Crash. Kyurem, in its various forms, is a legendary powerhouse. Articuno, just being iconic. They can dish out so much pain, but because that ice typing offers no defensive utility, they're often incredibly frail. They hit hard, but if they get touched by one of those super effective moves, it's usually lights out. And yeah, the snow weather condition can give ice types a boost, but it can benefit the opponent too, or it isn't enough to make up for those glaring weaknesses. So for having the S tier level offensive coverage, but being paired with arguably one of the worst offensive profiles in the entire game, Ice type, you're chilling at the bottom of D tier for me. So much potential, so much offensive glory, but just too fragile to consistently hang higher. What a shame. Next up is Rock type. Now when you think Rock types, you think tough, right? And offensively, it definitely brings the pain to some key targets. It smashes Fire types, puts a chill on Ice types, grounds those pesky Flying types, and squashes bugs. Those are some super solid effective coverage against common threats. Stone Edge and Rock Slide hits these types very hard. But then we flip it. Offensively, Rock type attacks get walled pretty hard by Fighting, Ground, and Steel types. 3 very common defensive typings that just shrug off Rock type attacks. They really limit its natural sweeping potential. Defensively, it's a mixed bag. Rock resists normal, fire, poison, and flying. Resisting fire and flying is genuinely good, but then the weaknesses. Oh, the weaknesses. Rock type is weak to water, grass, fighting, ground, and steel. Count them. That's 5 very common weaknesses, including 2 of the types that resist its own attacks. That's a lot of things to be scared of switching into. Plus, a rock type Pokemon, while they might have high physical defense, are often pretty slow, meaning they're getting hit by those super effective attacks before they can even move. Now let's be real, Rock type has given us one of the most game defining moves ever, Stealth Rock. That entry hazard alone has shaped competitive battling for generations. And then you've got absolute units like Tyranitar, although he's part Dark type, Rhyperior, Terrakion, and back in the day, Golem. Many rock types are defensive behemoths, and they can avoid super effective hits, plus they get a special defense boost in the Sandstorm, which is a nice little perk. Overall, while it's got an amazing Stealth Rock utility and some pretty good offensive niches, those 5 common weaknesses and the fact that it's often slow holds Rock back a little too much for me. It's better than Ice defensively, sure, but it's still got a rocky road ahead. So Rock type, you're sitting in D tier just above Ice. Okay, climbing our way up, still in D tier, but sitting right at the top of it. A type that honestly got a huge glow up a few generations ago. We're talking about the Poison type. Poison type, for a long time, this type was kinda meh offensively, right? It only hits grass for super effective damage, not exactly setting the world on fire or corroding it with acid, I guess. But then, Fairy type waltzed onto the scene, and suddenly, Poison type had a brand new, super important job. Be a premier Fairy Slayer, hitting grass and the mighty Fairy type super effectively. That's a key offensive niche right there. Now offensively, it still gets walled by a few things. Other poison types resist it, as do ground, rock, and ghost. Let's not forget the immunity that steel types have against poison types. So it's not like you're gonna spam Sludge Bomb against everything. But defensively, this is where poison starts to look pretty slick. It resists a fantastic 5 types. Fighting, always good, other poison types, bug, grass, and those pesky fairies again. That defensive profile is excellent for checking some major threats, Its only weaknesses are to ground and psychic. While ground is common, psychic isn't so common these days, but still some things to watch out for. No immunities, which is a bit of a bummer, but those resistances are still solid gold. While talking about poison types, we can't forget about the utility that they bring. Poison types are able to absorb toxic spikes from your side of the field and give the enemy toxic spikes. Free hazard removal? Yes please. Aside from toxic spikes, they can just generally spread toxic and poison themselves, which is always a great way to wear down bulky opponents. We've got some iconic poison Pokemon too. Gengar, with its ghost poison typing, has been a menace for generations. Nidoking brings its raw attack power. Salazzle has that unique corrosion ability, which grants it the ability to poison steel and poison types. And let's not forget the defensive monster Toxapex. It's an absolute wall that just does not go down. So, with that key offensive role against fairies, a really solid defensive profile, and great utility, Poison type has definitely become much more relevant. It's still held back a bit by its offensive limitations against other types, which is why it's not climbing higher for me just yet. But it's the king of D tier, no question. A toxic rain, but a rain nonetheless.
The Crimson Chin!
Kicking things off at the bottom of C tier will be a type that once ruled the entire Pokemon world with an iron mind. Yeah, we're diving into the realm of the Psychic type. Psychic type. Man, if you were playing Pokemon back in Gen 1, you'd know. Psychic types were basically unstoppable gods. Alakazam, Mewtwo, just absolute nightmares. Offensively, Psychic hits fighting and poison for super effective damage. Taking out those bulky fighting types and annoying poison stallers, always valuable. But times have changed, my friends. The reign of Psychic was checked hard. Offensively, Steel types just wall Psychic attacks. Other Psychic types resist it, and then Dark types came along and are completely immune to Psychic. The Dark immunity was a massive nerf that really brought Psychic down to earth. Defensively, it's a bit meh. It resists fighting and other Psychic attacks, which is decent, but no immunities. And its weaknesses, Bug, Ghost, and Dark. 3 types that became way more prominent and offensively threatening, specifically because Psychic was so dominant. So it got these tailor-made counters running around. Now, don't get me wrong, Psychic still boasts some of the most powerful special attackers in the game. We're talking Alakazam with its insane speed and special attack, Gardevoir and Gallade with their dual typings, the Lati twins soaring around, Indeedee providing amazing support with Psychic terrain. The list of heavy hitters is still long, and Psychic terrain itself is a fantastic field effect, boosting Psychic moves and protecting from priority. Plus, Psychic types are often loaded with amazing utility and setup moves. Calm Mind, Trick Room, Reflect, Light Screen, you name it, they got it. But that offensive potential is significantly hampered by the Steel and especially Dark types being so common. And those 3 weaknesses can be pretty easy to exploit. It's a type that went from an undisputed S tier king in Gen 1 to something much more balanced, let's say. Still capable of incredible things, still has amazing Pokemon, but it's not the all-conquering force it once was. So for its historical dominance, its incredible roster of special sweepers and utility masters, but held back by those key immunities to its stab and some exploitable weaknesses, Psychic type, you're landing at the bottom of C tier for me. Powerful in the right hands and on the right team, but it needs a bit more support these days to truly shine like it used to. Moving right along, next in C tier is the Grass type. You see him everywhere, from your first steps out of Pallet Town to the deepest parts of the Galar region. Offensively, Grass is solid against some big bulky threats. It soaks up the water types, it crumbles the ground types, and it shatters the rock type. That's some decent, super effective coverage against common defensive pillars. But, and it's another significant but here folks, when Grass type attacks don't hit super effectively, they often get walled hard. Fire, other Grass types, Poison, Flying, Bug, Dragon, and Steel all resist Grass. That's 7 types shrugging off your Leaf Storm and Giga Drain. That's a tough lineup to break through consistently if you don't have amazing coverage moves. Defensively, it's a similar story of give and take. Grass resists Water, other Grass types, Electric, and Ground. Resisting water, electric, and ground, that's actually really good. Those are powerful offensive types. But then you look at the other side of the coin. Grass is weak to fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug. 5 weaknesses, and many of those are super common attacking types, especially fire, ice, and flying. Ouch. Despite all those ups and downs, grass types bring some incredible utility to the table. We're talking game-changing status moves like Sleep Powder, Spore, and Leech Seed. These can absolutely cripple an opponent or turn the tide of a battle. And let's not forget, grassy terrain support healing your team and boosting grass moves. Plus, we've got some serious powerhouses in the grass category. Venusaur has been a reliable special attacker and Sunsweeper for generations. Sceptile, a lightning fast threat. Rillaboom with Grassy Glide is a menace, and even defensively you have Pokemon like Ferrothorn, part grass, but it's still a staple nonetheless. So it's got this weird mix. Offensively, it's got key targets, but it's resisted by so many. Defensively, it's got great resistances, but also a ton of common weaknesses. The utility it brings with status and terrain is undeniable, and it has some fantastic Pokemon for me. That lands grass type right here in the middle part of C tier. It's got more going for offensively and defensively than Psychic and many more common scenarios, but it's not quite as broadly splashable or independently reliable as normal can sometimes be with its vast move pools. A tricky type, but one you can't afford to ignore. Speaking of normal, it's next up. We've got the OG, the jack of all trades but master of none. Well, not hitting anything super effectively, that is. It's the normal type, folks. Normal type. Where do you even start? Offensively, this is its biggest hurdle. Let's be real, normal type attacks hit absolutely nothing for super effective damage. 0. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're trying to be an offensive powerhouse. And on top of that, rock and steel types resist your normal stabs. And ghost types, they just laugh, completely immune. So right off the bat, offensively, it's fighting an uphill battle. But then you flip it to defense, and it's got one major perk. That beautiful immunity to ghost type attacks. In a game where ghosts can be incredibly tricky, being able to just switch in and say no you is a huge benefit. Its only weakness is to fighting type, which admittedly is a very common and powerful offensive type, so as a significant downside, it has no other weaknesses. No other resistances either while we're at it, which is a bit of a pain. So why isn't it lower, you ask? Well, here's the normal type's secret weapon. It's Pokemon and their insane versatility. Normal types often get access to gigantic move pools. They can learn moves from almost every other type, making them unpredictable. You've got absolute defensive units like Snorlax and Blissey that just don't faint. You got speedy offensive threats from back in the day like Tauros, or modern ones like Porygon Z with adaptability, boosting its already powerful stabs like Tri-Attack or Hyper Beam. Staraptor, which is part normal, gets Brave Bird in close combat. And let's not forget Ditto, that one ultimate wild card. Plus, stab moves like Body Slam for paralysis, Extreme Speed for priority, or even Hyper Beam if you're feeling risky, can still hit incredibly hard, especially with abilities like adaptability, doubling up that stab. It's the type that often relies on raw power, status, or an unexpected coverage move to get the job done, rather than inherent type advantages. So, for that crucial ghost immunity, the sheer utility and often surprising power of its Pokemon thanks to the diverse move pools and abilities, but it's held back by its lack of offensive super effective pressure and that key fighting type weakness. Normal type, you're landing solidly in C tier for me. Reliable, often underrated, and can definitely pull its weight, but it's rarely the star player due to its typing alone. Okay, next up on the tier list, a type that's all about dishing out a beatdown. I'm breaking through those tough defenses. It's time to flex with the fighting type. Fighting types. When you need something to just smash through a defensive wall, this is often your go-to. Offensively, fighting type is an absolute beast. It hits normal types, which nothing else hits super effectively, mind you, shatters ice and rock types, bullies dark types, and cracks open those tough steel types. That is some premium offensive coverage right there, folks. If you're facing a team full of bulky normal, rock, or steel type Pokemon, bringing a strong fighting type can feel like bringing a sledgehammer to a pillow fight. For the pillows, anyway. But you knew there was a but coming, right? Offensively, it does have its checks. Poison, flying, psychic, and bug types all resist fighting moves. Oh yeah, those recently dominant fairy types, they resist fighting too. And then there's the big one. Ghost types are completely immune to fighting attacks. So, while it can break many walls, it can be completely nullified by a well-timed ghost switch in. Defensively, fighting type is okay. It resists rock, bug, and dark. Resisting dark is pretty nice, and rock is always good. No immunities though, and its weaknesses are flying, psychic, and fairy. Two of those, flying and fairy, are very common offensive type, and psychic can still be the threat too, so it's not the tankiest type out there on its own. But let's be real, fighting type isn't usually picked for its amazing defensive profile. It's picked for that dominant physical offensive presence. We're talking legends like Machamp with no guard dynamic punch, Lucario with his mixed attacking prowess, Conkeldurr hitting like an absolute freight train with guts, and modern monsters like Urshifu just ignoring protect. These Pokemon are designed to hit hard and break things. So for that incredible offensive ability to dismantle common defensive cores, but held back by that ghost immunity and some key resistances and weaknesses that can be exploited, fighting type, you're landing high up in C tier for me. Just a step above normal. It brings way more offensive pressure than normal, but those immunities and specific counters keep it from climbing higher on its own merit as a type. It's a powerhouse, but you gotta clear the path for it sometimes. Alright NerdVana crew, let's ascend to our next pick, a type that's often a fantastic secondary typing but also holds its own with some serious advantages. We're talking about the high flying, always above the fray, flying type. Man, this type brings so much to the table. Offensively, it's got solid targets, clipping the wings of grass types, outmaneuvering fighting types, and swatting down those bug types. That's a nice spread of super effective hits against some common foes. Now, it does get resisted by rock, steel, and electric types, so it's not like you can just spam Brave Bird on everything and call it a day, but its offensive presence is definitely felt. But where flying really shines, and I mean shines, is defensively, with one key thing, that beautiful immunity to ground type attacks. In a game where Earthquake is one of the most spammable and powerful moves out there, just being able to switch in a flying type and take 0 damage, that is huge. Game changing even. On top of that amazing immunity, it also resists fighting, bug, and grass types. A pretty solid defensive profile right there. Its weaknesses, however, are to rock, so ouch for stealth rocks, electric, and ice. All common enough, but that ground immunity often makes up for a lot. And the Pokemon. Flying types are often synonymous with speed. Think Crobat and Talonflame, with Gale Wings back in the day of course, Tornadus and Staraptor. These guys are fast and hit hard. You get access to incredibly powerful stab moves like Brave Bird and Hurricane, even if they come with some drawbacks sometimes. Plus, flying types are fantastic for pivoting with U-turn, keeping momentum on your side. Whether it's a primary flying type, or a Pokemon gaining it as a secondary type, looking at you Charizard and Gyarados, that ground immunity and offensive pressure are always valuable. So for that absolutely crucial ground immunity, its solid offensive matchup against key types, its roster speedy threats, and its great pivoting potential, flying type is soaring right to the top of my C tier. It's got some clear weaknesses that keep it from the higher tiers, especially that stealth rock vulnerability, but its strengths are just too good to ignore. A fantastic, versatile, and often essential typing. Okay crew, we are officially zapping into the B tier. These are the types that are seriously good, consistently pulling their weight, and starting us off at the bottom of the B tier, a type known for its speed, special power, and absolutely fantastic defensive profile. Let's get amped for the electric. When you think electric types, you probably think fast, special attackers, and you wouldn't be wrong. Offensively, electric is pretty straightforward. it shocks water types and zaps flying types for super effective damage. That's a solid niche, hitting two very common types. Now, it doesn't hit a ton of other things super effectively, and grass, other electric types, and dragon types all resist its attacks. And then there's the big one. Ground types are completely immune to electric, so if your opponent has a ground type, your electric stabs are going nowhere. But, and this is another big but that elevates it, defensively, electric type is an absolute stud. It resists other electric types, flying type moves, and the coveted steel type attacks. 3 really good resistances. And its weaknesses, it has just one. Just one. Only ground types hit electric for super effective damage. Having only a single weakness in Pokemon is an incredible defensive asset. That makes electric types surprisingly bulky, or at least very hard to take down with a random super effective hit if you don't have a ground type move. In the Pokemon that rock this typing, we've got the face of the franchise, Pikachu, and its evolution, Raichu, speedy special sweepers like Jolteon and Manectric, legendary birds like Zapdos, modern speed demons like Regieleki, which is basically lightning in Pokemon form, and even bulky powerhouses like Magnezone, which can trap steel types with Magnet Pull. Plus, electric terrain gives a nice boost to electric moves and prevents sleep, pretty handy. So while its offensive coverage isn't the widest, and that ground immunity can be a pain to deal with if you're using electric attacks, that phenomenal defensive profile of only one weakness, coupled with a roster of fast, hard-hitting special attackers and solid resistances, makes electric type a very strong contender. It's consistent, it's reliable, and it's often a key player in many teams. For all of that, electric type, you are comfortably parking yourself at the bottom of B tier for me. A fantastic typing that's just shy of the absolute elite due to its slightly limited offensive ceiling against non-water and flying types. Alright NerdVana crew, sliding into the top spot of B tier, a type that lurks in the shadows, plays mind games, and absolutely thrives on disruption. It's time to embrace the darkness with the Dark type. Introduced back in Gen 2 specifically to put a check on those ridiculously overpowered Psychic types from Gen 1, and man, did it do its job. Offensively, Dark type moves hit Psychic and Ghost types for super effective damage. Being able to reliably smack down those two tricky types, that's a huge boon. Now, it does get resisted by fighting other Dark types and those pesky fairies, so it's not like it can just spam knockoff on everything. But, defensively, this is where Dark type really carves out its niche. First and foremost, that incredible immunity to Psychic type attacks. Being able to completely wall one of the strongest special attacking types from early gens. Priceless. It also resists other Ghost and Dark type attacks. Its weaknesses are to Fighting, Bug, and Fairy. Fighting and Fairy are definitely common and problematic, and Bug can sometimes surprise you, but the Psychic immunity is often worth the trade-off. And the Pokemon that embody the Dark type, they're often cunning, powerful, and bring a ton of utility or sheer offensive pressure. Think about Tyranitar, the pseudo-legendary Sandsetter, my favorite 3-headed menace Hydreigon, Weavile, the lightning-fast physical sweeper, Bisharp with defiant, punishing stat drops, Umbreon, the absolute special tank, and Greninja, when it gets that Dark typing through Protean, becomes even more of a versatile threat. Plus, Dark types get access to some of the best disruptive moves in the game. Knockoff to remove items is the S tier utility, Taunt to block those status moves, Sucker Punch for priority. They're all about playing dirty and smart. So for that game-changing Psychic immunity, its ability to offensively pressure Psychic and Ghost types, and its roster of powerful and tricky Pokemon with access to amazing disruptive moves, Dark type comfortably secures its spot at the top of B tier for me. It's got some clear counters in Fighting and Fairy, which keep it from climbing higher, but it's an incredibly valuable and impactful typing that can really mess with your opponent's game plan. A true master of the shadows.
A few moments later.
Alright NerdVana crew, we are firmly in A tier now, the realm of truly exceptional and game-defining types, and kicking off our A tier lineup, planting itself solidly at the bottom of this elite group, a type that literally shakes the foundation of battle with its offensive might and a crucial immunity. Let's give it up for the formidable ground type. When you need to hit hard and hit a lot of important things hard, ground is your go-to offensive weapon. The coverage this type boasts is just insane. It slams fire types, destroys electric types, smothers poison types, crushes rock types, and breaks through those tough steel types. Those are 5 key types it hit for super effective damage. Having a powerful ground style like Earthquake is like having a master key to many defensive cores. Its main offensive roadblocks are grass and bug types resisting it, and flying types being completely immune. That flying immunity is definitely its biggest offensive challenge. But defensively, ground comes with an absolutely stellar immunity. It takes 0 damage from electric type attacks, in a meta often filled with speedy electric sweepers and volt switch shenanigans. Having a ground type to pivot into and absorb those attacks is invaluable. It also resists poison and rock, which are decent enough. Now, it does have 3 common weaknesses however: water, grass, and ice. Those can definitely be exploited, especially since they're often special attacking types that can hit ground's often lower special defense. But man, the Pokemon that wield the ground type are absolute legends and meta defining threats. We're talking Garchomp, the apex predator landshark; Landorus Therian, a competitive staple for its power and intimidate; Excadrill, a terror in sand with Sand Rush. Don't forget titans like Groudon setting up the harsh sunlight, or even supporters like Hippowdon bringing in the sandstorm. And many ground types get access to incredible moves like Earthquake, Earth Power, and utility like Stealth Rock or Spikes. Plus, that Sandstorm synergy boosting the special defense of rock types, often paired with ground, or powering up abilities is a huge factor. So, for its absolutely top tier offensive coverage that dismantles so many common types, the game-changing electric immunity, and its roster of incredibly powerful and influential Pokemon, ground type easily earns its place in A tier. Those water, grass, and ice weaknesses and the flying immunity to its stab are what keep it from being S tier in my book, but it's undeniably one of the most impactful and consistently powerful types in the game. It's firmly making its stand at the bottom of A tier. Alright ghouls and gals, next up in A tier, a type that defies expectations, passes through walls, and packs a surprisingly potent punch while offering some of the most unique defensive utility in the game. It's time to give it up for the ethereal, the elusive, the ever disruptive Ghost type. Man, this typing is just so cool and so effective. Offensively, it might seem a bit focused, primarily smacking psychic types and other ghosts for super effective damage, but here's the genius of that. Offensively, very little actually resists it. Only dark types take reduced damage, and normal types are completely immune. That means, for the vast majority of Pokemon, Ghost Stab is hitting for at least neutral, unblockable damage. That consistency is incredibly valuable. But where Ghost type truly ascends to A tier status for me is its absolutely phenomenal defensive profile. Get this, 2 immunities. Ghost types are completely immune to normal type attacks. That means no fear from common moves like Body Slam or Extreme Speed. And even more critically, they are immune to fighting type attacks, being able to completely wall off 2 of the most common and powerful physical attacking types in the entire game. That right there is an S tier level defensive trait. It also resists poison and bug, which is a nice cherry on top. Its only weaknesses are to other ghost types and dark types. So yeah, it's a bit of a ghost eat ghost world, and dark types are a clear check, but those 2 immunities are just too good. And the Pokemon that represent the spectral plane, we're talking about some of the most unique, tricky, and game-changing threats out there. Gengar, the original speedy special attacking ghost. Aegislash, the ultimate mind game Pokemon with King Shield and its stance changes. Dragapult, the ridiculously fast dragon ghost that hits like a stealth bomber. Mimikyu, with its almost guaranteed free setup turn thanks to disguise. Chandelure, with that monstrous special attack. Even legendary beings like Giratina. These Pokemon aren't just spooky, they're powerful. Plus, ghost types are the premier spin blockers in the game, preventing opponents from removing any hazards like Stealth Rock with Rapid Spin, since it is a normal type move. That strategic depth is invaluable. So, For those incredible normal and fighting immunities that provide unparalleled defensive pivoting, its largely unresisted stab coverage, its crucial role as a spin blocker, and its roster of uniquely powerful and often meta-defining Pokemon, Ghost-type is easily haunting its way into A tier for me. It offers a blend of offensive consistency and defensive utility that few types can match, making it a cornerstone of many successful teams. This type is truly in a league of its own. Alright you pyromaniacs, it's time to fuel the flames, a type that embodies pure offensive power, melts through defenses, and boasts a surprisingly robust set of resistances. Let's give a blazing warm welcome to the fire type. When you absolutely, positively need to bring the heat and burn through your opponent's team, fire is your go-to inferno. Offensively, this thing is a monster. It absolutely incinerates grass types, turns bug and ice types into ash, and critically, it forges through and melts down those bulky steel types. The ability to reliably bust steel types, one of the best defensive typings in the game, is a huge offensive advantage. Now, it does get absorbed by other fire types and doused by water, the eternal rival, put out by rock and shrugged off by dragon types. So it's not like it's an unstoppable wildfire against everything. However, you look at its defensive capabilities, and fire actually comes packed with some serious resistance. It boasts 6 resistances. It lasts off other fire attacks, shrugs off grass and ice, scoffs at bug types, resists those tough steel types, and even resists the mighty fairies. 6 resistances, including 2 top tier defensive and offensive types in steel and fairy. That is incredibly solid. No immunities, which is a slight bummer, but those resistances sure are clutch. Its weaknesses are to water, ground, and rock. Those are definitely common and can be problematic, especially stealth rock for many flying and fire types. But the defensive backbone is often underestimated. And the Pokemon that carry the torch for the fire type, we're talking about a lineup of absolute offensive demons and iconic powerhouses. Charizard, the OG fire-breathing dragon. That isn't really a dragon, don't at me. Blaziken, with speed boost, becoming an unstoppable force of nature. Infernape, the mixed attacking dynamo. Volcarona, setting up quiver dances and just sweeping through entire teams with fiery grace. Arcanine, the majestic and powerful bestest boy. Even defensive titans like Heatran, which uses its fire steel typing to wall countless threats. Plus, fire types get access to the invaluable Will-O-Wisp to cripple physical attackers and abilities like Drought, which can supercharge their fire stabs and enable some crazy strategies. So, for that incredible offensive pressure that melts through key defensive types like Steel, its surprisingly robust list of 6 valuable resistances, and its star-studded roster of hard-hitting sweepers and powerful utility mons, Fire type is undeniably blazing its path into a high spot in A tier for me. Those common water, ground, and rock weaknesses are what hold it back from an undisputed S tier domination. But make no mistake, Fire is an elite game-shaping type that brings the pain and can take a surprising number of hits. This type is pure, concentrated firepower. Alright crew, we've navigated through some incredible types, but now we arrive at the absolute pinnacle of A tier. The type that defines versatility, boasts incredible consistency, and is home to some of the most iconic and powerful Pokemon to ever grace the battlefield. Holding down the undisputed top spot in A tier, let's give it up for the omnipresent, the ever adaptable, the truly formidable water type. Man, oh man, if there's one type that just screams all around excellent, it's this one. Offensively, water is a masterclass in consistency. It douses fire types, erodes and soaks ground types, and shatters rock types. 3 incredibly common and often defensively pivotal types that water just dismantles. And here's the kicker that elevates it so high. Very few types actually resist water stab. Only other water types, grass, and dragon. That means for the vast majority of the decks, your Scalds, Hydro Pumps, and Surfs are hitting for solid, reliable damage. That kind of offensive consistency is gold. Defensively, water is an absolute fortress. It resists steel, which is always amazing, fire, other water attacks, and ice. 4 incredibly valuable resistances against common and powerful offensive types. Its only weaknesses are to grass and electric. Now, those are definitely exploitable and common enough, but having only 2 weaknesses while boasting that defensive suite is just top tier stuff. No immunities, true, but it's so well rounded it often doesn't even need one to be effective. And the Pokemon that inhabit the water type, we're talking about a veritable who's who of the Pokemon legends and competitive staples. Gyarados, the terrifying sweeper after a good dragon dance. Swampert, the water ground behemoth with only 1 weakness. Grass, 4 times over but still. Milotic, the picture of bulky special defense and elegance. Toxapex, the unkillable defensive wall that just sits there and annoys your entire team into submission. Greninja, the lightning fast mixed attacker with its incredible abilities. Kingdra, a devastating force under rain. Legendary guardians like Suicune, and even literal gods of the sea like Kyogre and Palkia, although for Palkia it's the sea of space. The sheer depth and breadth of powerful, bulky, speedy, and versatile water type Pokemon is simply astounding. And let's not forget Rain Dance, which can turn these already powerful Pokemon into tidal waves of absolute destruction, boosting their water stats and enabling abilities like Swift Swim. So, for its exceptional offensive consistency that hits hard and is rarely resisted, its incredibly solid defensive profile with key resistances, and an absolutely stacked Hall of Fame worthy roster of powerful and versatile Pokemon that can fit into almost any team strategy, Water type, you are unequivocally taking the crown at the very top of A tier on the NerdVana Nexus list. It is the definition of a well-rounded elite typing. It's just a hair's breadth away from S tier for me, only held back by not having one truly game-breaking immunity or a slightly fewer set of exploitable weaknesses compared to the absolute titans above it. But make no mistake, water is indeed a force of nature. Okay legends, take a deep breath. We've arrived. We're officially in S tier. These are the types that aren't just good, they're game-defining, meta-shaping, awe-inspiring forces of nature, and leading the charge, the first type to plant its mighty claws firmly in S tier. Type synonymous with overwhelming power and legendary status. It's the one, the only, Dragon type. Just saying the name evokes images of raw, untamed power. For generations, Dragon was the type to beat. Offensively, its stab only hit other Dragon types for super effective damage, which sounds crazy. But let's be real, when you're a Dragon, you're often fighting other legendary beasts. The real kicker offensively was that for the longest time, only Steel resisted Dragon. That meant Dragon styled like Outrage or Draco Meteor was almost unresisted. High power spam for days. Then, Fairy came along and said, "Hold my magical pixie dust," providing a full immunity. That definitely brought Dragon back down to earth a tiny bit, from an absolute solitary peak, but only a tiny bit, because defensively, oh man, Dragon is still an absolute beast. It resists 4 fundamental and incredibly common elemental types: fire, water, grass, and electric. Being able to switch into those common attacks and just shrug them off is invaluable. Its weaknesses are to ice, a big one, offensively potent, and other dragons. Live by the Draco, die by the Draco. And of course, those pesky fairies. But those 4 resistances are so universally good. And the Pokemon, are you kidding me? The Dragon type roster reads like a who's who of the most powerful and iconic creatures in the entire franchise. Dragonite, the OG pseudo-legendary. Garchomp, the land shark terror himself. Salamence, the intimidating aerial sweeper. Hydreigon, the 3-headed special attacking menace, and that's before we even get to the box art legendaries: Rayquaza, Zekrom, Reshiram, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. These Pokemon almost universally boast sky-high stats, incredible move pools, and game-breaking abilities. They are the Titan, the endgame threats, the Pokemon that entire teams are built around or built to counter. Even with the introduction of Fairy as a hard check, the sheer statistical might, the incredible offensive pressure they can still exert, especially with those coverage moves, and those fantastic core resistances means Dragon type remains an undeniable top tier force. It's not uncontested like it once was, but it's still royalty. So, for its legendary history, its a roster of some of the most powerful Pokemon ever created, its amazing core resistances, and its still potent offensive capabilities, Dragon type, you are taking your rightful place in S tier. Alright, you mystics, continuing our ascent into the S tier heavens, next up, a type that, upon its arrival, fundamentally rewrote the Pokemon rulebook, dethroned kings, and brought a whole new dimension of magical power to the game, taking its well-deserved spot above dragons in S tier. Let's all hail the enchanting, the powerful, the absolutely meta-defining fairy type. When this type dropped in Gen 6, it wasn't just a new coat of paint, it was a full-blown paradigm shift, and for incredible reasons. Offensively, Fairy is a certified monster hunter. It hits fighting types, dark types, and most importantly, those mighty dragon types for super effective damage, being able to reliably check and obliterate 3 of the most dominant offensive and defensive types in the game. That right there is S tier offensive utility. Its attacks are resisted by fire, poison, and steel, which are notable, but the offensive pressure against those big 3 are undeniable. But the real magic, the absolute game changer for Fairy, is its defensive profile, particularly one specific interaction: complete immunity to dragon types. Before Fairy, dragons were rampaging with very few true checks. Fairy type walked in, waved its sparkly wand, and said sit down. That immunity alone reshaped entire team compositions. Beyond that, it also resists fighting, bug, and dark types. All very relevant. Its only weaknesses are to poison and steel. Now, those are definitely weaknesses to be aware of, and good steel types can definitely wall fairies. But having 2 weaknesses while boasting a dragon immunity and other key resistances, that's an elite defensive package. And the Pokemon that wield this mystical typing, we're talking about some of the most potent special attackers, bulky supporters, and meta-defining threats. Clefable, with Magic Guard and Unaware, is an unkillable wall for many. Gardevoir and Sylveon, unleashing devastating pixie-powered hyper voices. Togekiss brings that serene grace Paraflinch hacks. The Tapus, with their terrain-setting abilities, are forces of nature. And then you have legendaries like Xerneas, which becomes an unstoppable Geomancy sweeper, or even Magearna. And let's not forget how Zacian, the Crown Sword version, with its fairy and steel typing, just dominated everything for a while. These Pokemon aren't just cute, they're competitively terrifying. So, for its incredible meta-defining introduction, its game-changing dragon immunity, its fantastic offensive capabilities against major threats, its solid defensive resistances, and its roster of incredibly powerful and versatile Pokemon, Fairy type absolutely earned its high spot in S tier on the NerdVana Nexus list. It brought balance, it brought new strategies, and it brought a whole lot of sparkly pain to its enemies. This type isn't just strong, it's pure magic. Ladies, gentlemen, trainers of all regions, we have journeyed through the mundane, the magical, the terrifying, and the powerful, but now we stand at the absolute summit of Pokemon typing. The #1 spot, the undisputed king of the defensive meta. A type so resilient, so packed with resistances, it forms the very backbone of championship teams. For the top spot in S tier, the GOAT of typings on the NerdVana Nexus list, bow down to the unyielding, the impenetrable, the Steel type. Where do I even begin to describe this defensive juggernaut? Let's just start with the resistances, shall we? Steel resists normal, flying, rock, bug, other steel types, grass, psychic, ice, dragon, and fairy. That is 10. 10 freaking resistances. Are you kidding me? It literally walls half the decks. And as if that wasn't enough, it boasts a full immunity to poison type attacks and being poisoned. That is just an absolutely absurd defensive profile. Its weaknesses are to fire, fighting, and ground. All common and powerful, yes, but when you can switch in on 10 different types without fear, you can often build a team to cover for those weaknesses. Offensively, Steel is no slouch either. It hammers rock types, shatters ice types, and critically, it provides one of the only reliable ways to hit those powerful fairy types for super effective damage. That offensive niche against fairies, combined with its defensive prowess against them, makes Steel an absolute fairy nightmare. It does get resisted by fire, water, electric, and other steel types, so it's not hitting everything for neutral, but its super effective targets are incredibly important. And the Pokemon forged from this mighty type. We're talking about some of the most iconic and competitively dominant forces ever. Metagross, the psychic supercomputer tank. Scizor, with technician boosted bullet punch, a priority king. Aegislash, the strategic mind game master with his stance changer. Ferrothorn, the hazard stacking leech seeding wall of pain. Corviknight, the unkillable taxi bird of Galar, and literal gods of time and space like Dialga. These Pokemon aren't just strong, they are often the cornerstones upon the entire metagames. They are anchors, the pivots, the unbreakable shields. So, for its unparalleled 10 resistances, its crucial poison immunity, its vital offensive role in checking fairy, rock, and ice types, and its roster of meta-defining defensive titans and powerful offensive threats, the Steel type is without a shadow of a doubt planting its flag firmly at the absolute top of S tier. It's the ultimate defensive typing, the bedrock of countless strategies, and the undisputed champion on the NerdVana Nexus tier list. All hail the Steel type. Alright, to those of you Galaxy brains who are still hanging around, we've crowned Steel our king, but I have to talk about the newcomer, the game changer, the DLC darling that shook up the entire meta, making its grand debut on this list and rocketing straight into S tier, in my opinion of course. It's the dazzling, the unpredictable, the stellar type. This isn't your grandma's Pokemon typing, folks. This is a Terra exclusive type. A Pokemon becomes stellar when it terrestrializes. Not born this way. And its whole deal is beautifully weird and powerful. Mechanic number 1. When a stellar Terra type Pokemon uses a move of a type it originally had, that move gets a stab-like boost, once per original type per battle. So your dual type Pokemon can get a temporary power up on both its stabs. That's some serious offensive flexibility. Mechanic number 2, and this is huge. When you're Stellar Terra and you use a Stellar type Terra Blast, it becomes super effective against any terrestrialized Pokemon. Your opponent clicks that Terra button to get a defensive advantage. Stellar says, "Nice try." It's the ultimate anti-Terra tech. Now here's the twist. Defensively, Stellar does nothing. Nada. When you're Terra into Stellar, you keep your original defensive typing, weaknesses and all. This isn't about tanking hits, it's about dishing out pure, unadulterated hands. So, who's going Stellar? Pokemon that are already offensive juggernaut and want to guarantee they can punch through a defensive Terra. Pokemon with multiple powerful stabs that love that temporary all-out attack mode. It's the ultimate offensive gambit. A Terra breaker that laughs in the fence of defensive strategies. For its absolutely unique role in a Terra-dominated metagame, its ability to provide a universal super effective hit against terrestrialized foes, and that flexible stab boost due to its original typings, Stellar type is an undeniable powerhouse. It's not about traditional resistances or weaknesses, it's about pure strategic offensive pressure. That's why the Stellar type is shining brightly right here, just a hair beneath Steel, in an S tier on the NerdVana Nexus list. It's a cosmic force to be reckoned with. And there you have it, NerdVana Nexus. All 18 official Pokemon types, plus our special 19th Stellar type, ranked from the F tier underdogs all the way up to the S tier undisputed champions. That was an absolute marathon type analysis, my friends, but we all did it. This was my take after all, based on offensive firepower, defensive resilience, key Pokemon impact, and overall versatility. We saw the sheer defensive might of Steel, the game-changing impact of Fairy and Stellar, the raw power of Dragon, the all-around excellence of Water, the crucial immunities of Ghost and Ground, the fiery offensive of Fire, and yeah, even our Bug and Ice types holding it down at the other end. Every type has its moments and its niches, and of course its legends. But here's the best part about Pokemon, and about tier lists in general. Everyone has their own opinion, and I absolutely want to hear yours. what does your Pokemon type tier list look like? Which did I criminally disrespect or criminally overhype in your eyes? Did my S tier picks make you nod your head in agreement or scream at your screen? What were your biggest surprises or strongest disagreement? Get down in those comments and let me know everything. I'll be diving in there ready to read your takes and ready to debate. This is where the real fun begins. And once again, from the bottom of my nerdy heart, a massive thank you for all of the incredible support you guys have shown this channel. As of recording, we've absolutely smashed that 300 subscriber milestone. And I owe it all to you guys. It means the world to me and fuels me to make even more of these deep dives for you. So, if you've enjoyed this ultimate type takedown, let me know. If you learned something new, also let me know. And if you just want to see some chaos, let me know that too. You know the drill. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to NerdVana Nexus if you haven't already, ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload, and just to let you guys in on a sneak peek, we've got cryokinesis coming up. And of course, until next time, may your type matchups always be in your favor and your critical hits be plentiful. This is your boy Ren, signing out. Stay nerdy, guys.